I now call on Paul Kane for 4 minutes. Mr O'Kane.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. And I would like to begin by restating what everyone in the Chamber has said already. Thank you to all those who have contributed to the bill's progress and to all organisations, indeed, who gave evidence and briefing contributing to the passage of the bill. And thank you also to carers who do so much and too often receive too little support and not enough recognition. And we've heard from colleagues across the Chamber just how challenging the past 18 months have been for carers, indeed the most challenging times that unpaid carers have ever faced. Services continue to be squeezed, still not enough respite care is available, and colleagues, I think, have alluded to that really powerfully today. Indeed, Mark Griffin and Willie Rennie speaking about the experiences of people who are caring for loved ones. And in the last few weeks, we've seen councils across the Lothians and in Glasgow, for example, cutting back on care-at-home provision and asking unpaid carers yet again to do more. And that's before we even get to the worst of winter. I said at stage one that it's important that we hear the voices of carers in this legislation and respond to what they ask of us. It is the least we can do, and we on these benches have reiterated that today through our amendments. And although there has been a very constrained timetable for the bill, Scottish Labour have sought to hear what carers have told us and act upon it. The ability to increase the supplement, albeit for a limited number of months, is of course welcome. And as colleagues have said, we have supported the bill and will support the bill today because we believe that putting extra money into the pockets of carers in time for Christmas is a vital step in supporting them at a very demanding time of year and in the midst of a pandemic, which is still very much impacting people's lives. But it only goes so far, Deputy Presiding Officer, and we must do more. And that is what the amendments of my colleague Pam Duncan-Glancy and indeed Jeremy Balfour's amendments, I think, sought to do. Because this bill provides that one-off increase in carers' allowance, and it does give the power to increase future payments of the supplement. But of course, as we've heard already, that is not guaranteed. This bill should not be a missed opportunity to ensure that there is a guaranteed bridge of uplift for carers to have more financial security until the advent of carers' assistance, but I fear that it will be. The Government had the opportunity to change the calculation to use universal credit and to fix that to the rate prior to the Tories' shameful cut, and it would have meant that eligible carers would have been entitled to a higher supplement, £480 more than the current supplement level. But the Government have refused to take that amendment on board. And I do ask, what does that say to carers in Scotland? And I was indeed disappointed not to hear Maggie Chapman speak in her contribution about that amendment which she had pursued in committee. The Government could have also today ensured that the increased supplement is paid every 6 months until carers' assistance is rolled out. Currently, the bill only guarantees one payment of the increased supplement in December 2021, again, as we have heard. And indeed, Mark Griffin made that point about what we would hope to see in terms of the long-term strategy and solution towards a meaningful uplift for carers in terms of carers' allowance. At stage one, Deputy Presiding Officer, the Minister suggested that the Government intend to introduce Scottish carers' assistance for new applications long before 2025. Those were his words. So it would be helpful if, in concluding, he would clarify what is meant by that. When will carers have extra money in their pockets before 2025? And indeed, how long before 2025 will that be? Deputy Presiding Officer, the Chair of the Committee, who is in his place now, said in his contribution, and indeed I think in remarks to the Daily Record, that additional payments from the supplement will ensure that we provide greater recognition to those who help to look after a loved one. I think we've seen today that there is absolutely a consensus around that in this chamber, but we do have to ask ourselves, does that recognition cease at the end of December? Scottish Labour will support this bill to make more support available for stretched carers. That is a sticking plaster to cover a gaping wound, and carers and carer organisations have been clear it is not sufficient to lift carers out of poverty. We can do more, we must do more. The Scottish Government must hear the voices of carers who for too long have felt like an afterthought. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr O'Kane. I now call